In terms of Totem stuff, we are just about finished with the pen test for 4.5. It's gone well. We discovered some of the new features in 4.5 required some additional security fixes, so we're in the process of fixing and testing those. We're still on track for our release schedule, which is mid-August, hopefully sooner. It might even be as soon as the end of next week that we'll start putting out announcements that we'll be migrating your instances to the new 4.5. It's got a lot of new features. I was going to take a minute and just do a quick demonstration of some of the new features. So I'll pop into a demo instance that we have. One of the main things you'll notice is that in terms of assessment types, we got rid of the differentiation between the 800.171 assessment type and CMMC. Since CMMC is now 100% aligned with 800.171, there's no need for differentiation in the tool. So the two assessment types that you can choose from are going to be CMMC and ISO 27001. And then in terms of CMMC, you'll still see this practice level drop down. So you can select from 1, practice level 1, which are the FAR 17, the basic controls for all of us. Level 2, which is 100% aligned with NIST 800.171, and that's for those of us that handle CUI. Level 3, the controls have not been released yet. They have not been determined yet, so this is just speculation on our part. If you're interested in seeing some of the potential enhanced controls for the very small subset of us that might have to target level 3, you can select that. I'll just do a demonstration of the level 2 for now. In the control status page, it'll look pretty familiar, although there are some differences now. The control ID is 100% aligned with how the CMMC presents the 800.171 controls. And in the process of migration, we will automatically behind the scenes migrate your organization's database to reflect this new control identification. Nothing else, no other parts of your information will change. You can still filter in here on the NIST IDs if you like, the 800.171 IDs, but you can also do some other cool filters like filter on only the level 1 controls. So it makes filtering on the FAR 17 much easier. There's a select all and a clear all. That's a new feature here as well. So if I select all for .L1-, what we're looking at are the FAR 17. So 17 controls in here. Give myself some more, boost up the size so you can see it a little bit better. All of the extraneous .99, .998, and .997 process-related controls that were associated with CMMC, the old model, those are all gone out of the tool. So it's now that CMMC is aligned with NIST, it's a much cleaner way to move through your cybersecurity program, at least in terms of the Totem tool. We've updated any of the discussion and further supplemental guidance things if they were updated by NIST. There were a few small updates, fixed some typos in here, but everything else is going to look very similar to how the tool is now, with the one exception that we have this new field for shared responsibilities. So if you are sharing the responsibilities for the execution of any of these actions with, say, an external service provider, like a managed service provider or a managed security service provider, now you have a special place in the tool where you can document those shared responsibilities. So let's say authorized users are identified. We can say MSP, shared with MSP. The MSP Acme Tech maintains, if I could spell correctly, maintains a list of, just paraphrase here, authorized users in the Active Directory user list. I'm just, for sake of time, just paraphrasing here. Hit OK, and you can see that the little icon changes to this sort of group icon. So you can tell the controls that have been shared. And this is how we can start documenting what's called a shared responsibility matrix. If we do outsource any of the execution of any of these actions to external service providers, we will have to document their shared responsibility in a matrix. And what you'll end up being able to do is export. If you're ever called upon to produce the shared responsibility matrix, then you can just view your exported controls, and the shared responsibilities are listed here in a spreadsheet, aka matrix. So pretty cool new feature here. Really not too much else on the control status page that's new. The global search feature has been completely reworked, so it should be much more intuitive to perform global searches in the tool. I know that was a source of frustration to a lot of folks. And on our resources page, you'll see this has been refactored as well. All the same old good resources are here in terms of downloadable templates and links to external resources. But we also have a link to the global search syntax guide. It's based on Lucerne search. And there's a link to the search syntax guide, as well as a list of the searchable fields from the global search. And this is all on the resources page here. All right, POAM is where a lot of the changes have taken place. So I'm going to just go back to a couple of controls that have already marked non-compliant to show you the new features in building a POAM. So I've already marked the main control related to multi-factor authentication as non-compliant in this tool just for demonstration purposes. So these are all non-compliant, so I'll be able to add them all, and we have a select all button or option here now. I'll be able to add them all to a POAM. So this is the same workflow in creating a corrective action plan. And this will look relatively familiar to those of you that have created corrective action plans. We still have the ability to use template corrective action plans or apply template corrective action plans in here. But now you'll see, in addition to the action description and estimated completion date, we have a start date here. And so by virtue of selecting start dates, let's say we're going to start this first corrective action step today, and we plan on finishing this in a couple of months. Now we have an estimated completion date, a start date, and you'll see these things are sorted by the start date. These individual actions are sorted by the start date. And a really cool new feature of this I'll show you once I complete this corrective action plan and put it in the POAM. I'll just select an overall estimated completion date here. As with the current 4.0 state, like this is automatically updated based on the latest estimated completion date. So if I just select January, you'll see that it's automatically updated. In the responsible entity field, you can now type in your own, you can see Nathan's in there, but if I had ITMSP as the responsible entity, now that's going to be a selectable item. So it's preserved in your organization, so you can select responsible entities across multiple corrective actions. Once I create this corrective action, it'll be added to the POAM. I can edit all the fields as you currently can, but now we have a cool Gantt chart feature in here, which I'm pretty excited about. We're going to be testing this out with 4.5. So a little sort of scheduling guide that'll show graphic depiction of your action, at least the time frames of the actions. And then this is the feature that everybody's been asking for since the dawn of Totem. We can now delete corrective actions out of the POAM. So we have delete corrective action. It's going to warn you, and you can manage your POAM a little bit better. I know you all have been hankering for that. We were reluctant because we don't want to get folks in the habit of deleting their fixed remediated weaknesses, because you want to be able to show those that you've made progress over time. You don't want to delete them, but we all know that we're human and can screw up building a cap, and so now you can delete if you screw building one up. I would just not delete your old legitimate finished corrective actions. So plan of action and milestones, most of the improvements in 4.5 are in this module. Risk assessment has stayed mostly the same. Other major changes were in the inventory. So now, instead of having to click this little box to edit your CUI or inventory items, you can click on the link that's presented, and the edit interface is all in one place for you now, so you don't have to sort of scroll down as much as you did. And then new feature in 4.5, we can manage hardware assets in here as well. And same sort of interface. You can click, after you've built the hardware asset, you can click directly on the link and edit it. This is a new feature in 4.5. Eventually, we'll get to the point where we will be able to associate hardware assets with controls and risks in the risk matrix. We're not there yet. That's on the roadmap for future release. And we'll be adding inventory items here as well. So we'll next release, we'll add a software asset and then also an interconnections asset once we've proved out the hardware assets works in the live operational environment. So that'll be like Totem 5.0 down the road, additional inventory. So pretty cool. Excited about 4.5. The ability to delete a POAM and improve global search, I think, will make the difference for a lot of you.